All right, so we are here again with Peter Dubiel, and we're just here to talk about loans, mortgages, experiences, anything you guys want to talk about. Like you could also send comments on him on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, and we'd be more than happy to talk about any topics you guys want to talk about. So,
Yes, it would be great to get some reviews or some comments and well, whatever we have to talk about, whatever questions you guys have, that would be great.
yeah, so we're here to talk about like the experiences we've had in the real estate business. I've been doing this for a little bit over 3 years now, and I know Peter. How long have you been doing it for now?
Since 2016, so that's 9 years.
9 years. Oh wow.
9 years in total. Yeah, I got licensed in 2016. Started with Keller Williams for about a year and a half, and then I went to Homesmart Connect in 2017, December 2017, and I'm there till now.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So you made the moves, and now you're happy where you're at, and you're helping a lot of clients out. And I know that you were like one of the top producers last year, also. With Keysmart, right? Or what's the real?
With CAR, which is Chicago Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was awarded last year top agent for Dunning, Chicago, which is a neighborhood in Chicago.
Oh, nice. And how many units did you do last year?
So in total, I had about 50 transactions. I had 43 houses sold, and I had 7 rental transactions.
Oh wow, that's a lot of work though. 50 in total for the whole year.
Yeah, it seems like a lot, but if you go, day by day, week by week, that's not overwhelming. I think I can handle myself a little bit more. Of course, if you get to 100 transactions, 150 transactions, you have to have either transaction coordinator or a buyer's agent or somebody else, which that's the plan for the future. If we're gonna get to that number, I'm sure I'm gonna be thinking about expanding.
Okay, no, nice. Yeah, we really want you to expand. So what was it with those 47 transactions that you were able to sell a house, and why did other people decide to rent instead? Like, what was the difference? Was it the income? Was it like, they're not ready, or they're just here for a short period of time, or what was it?
No, most of my rental transactions are rental listings. So I don't work with a lot of rental tenants that are looking for rental place. Usually, I work with a lot of investors. So they have properties, they have investment properties, they have rental properties that become vacant after a lease expires, and they call me to relist it and try to get a new tenant for it. So that's the majority of business that I get from rental. As far as regular transactions, homes, condos, any lots, then it's just regular clients or my clients that need to invest in something new.
Nice. So what would you tell like a lot of people, right? Like we have a lot of clients that that are looking for a home, and they're renting right now. And when you find someone that's renting, and you find someone that's maybe on the fence about purchasing a home, what would you say is the pros and cons about renting and purchasing a home? What would be the biggest differences for you?
Well, as far as renting, I don't think there's a lot of pros. Probably the biggest pros is you're free to go anywhere, anytime. You're not obligated to make that mortgage payment for 30 years or 15 years. That's the only pros I would say it is. Anything else, if you renting, you're basically paying somebody else's mortgage. So I would tell everybody that rents, sooner or later, try to get pre-approved and find yourself a right place, because that's the only way you're going to build wealth. By renting, you're not really capitalizing on the equity of your property. You're paying off somebody's property, and in the long term, 10, 20, 30 years, you're going to see how much you spend on rent, how much you could build into your property by owning it.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I think renting is good, right? For someone that's young, they live by themselves, they don't have a commitment to get into a house yet. But as you've seen and I've seen, like a lot of young kids, a lot of young couples are doing it now. They're buying a home instead of renting out a place and seeing, whether we're going to work out or not, how are things going to be. And I think that that's the smartest way to go around it too. It's like, hey, like you're might as well you pay the the first month rent, last month rent, the deposit. If you bring a dog or you have a pet or a cat or anything like that, they ask you for another deposit. And then you have to have good credit on top of that, have a good job to make sure that you can pay the rent. So these tenants, the homeowners are looking for someone that's like concrete. It's might as well just go and purchase a home at that point. You're going to probably spend about the same amount of money, if not maybe a little bit less, because we have down payment assistance too. We can help you out with that. And then the taxes are not that high, and you're going to pay almost the same amount of money that you're paying for rent right now, especially here around the Chicagoland area. We are looking at rents that, they're costing about $2,300 for like a 2-bedroom or even a single bedroom and 1 washroom under 1,000 square feet, and you're paying.
I just had similar situation, very very similar situation. What do you describe on one of my listings, rental listings? So the tenant came in and the rent was $2,100. So the amount of money that they had to bring up front was over $5,000. I would say $5,500 because they had a pet. They wanted a garage for extra space, so there was a pet deposit, extra rent for pet. So my opinion, that's a huge amount of money just to drop on the first month. Instead of that, save up a little bit more, put it into down payment. That the programs you guys have right now are unbelievable. The rates just dropped, and I think with 3% down, you can easily qualify for any condo, any property that's gonna be within your budget.
Yeah, I think right now that the rates are dropping, people should take advantage of it. Get a quote, get pre-qualified, get pre-approved. If you're gonna spend that money, like you said, you're spending $5,500. Like, has a pet ever paid rent? Like now you have a pet, and now he's gonna be an extra burden or an extra. He's gonna cost you money every month. It's hard enough for pets now. Like pets, you gotta make sure that you take them to the vet. Their food is good. Depending where you're renting at, some people may be specific on what kind of pet you could bring. Maybe you could bring a pet that's under 20 pounds, under 15 pounds, and then you can have the big dog you like, or the husky you like, or anything like that.
Most likely you can't. If you rent a property, I don't see a lot of homeowners or landlords allowing big dogs. Most of them will allow a cat or a small dog. But with big dogs, as nice as they are, there is a bigger risk of damaging a property.
Yeah.
And the landlords are trying to stay away from it because it's really hard to get that money back later. Even if there is a pet deposit, extra pet rent, sometimes damages are for $1,000.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I know, man, I had a dog before, and, dogs are pretty expensive at the end of the day. They get sick, they get diabetes, they get something with them, they get cancer. I mean, it's bad enough. You're paying an extra insurance for the dog, and then for your pet, for your cat, for your dog, and then on top of that, you got to pay rent for the animal too, for your pet. And then you don't have a secure home for them either. They could be barking at night, or something could happen, and the landlord didn't like it, and they're like, you know what, just get out.
Most of the time, you don't have a yard for that pet. You have an apartment that you can keep, your pet, but you still have to go on walks and long walks, and sometimes it's in a city or even in the suburbs. You don't have a yard that comes in with the house once you buy your own house.
Yeah, that's why I tell a lot of people, man, you're gonna be spending over $1,500, $1,800 a month in rent. I honestly think you're better off, purchasing a home. Because then, like you said, you don't have to worry about, like, hey, I need to rent a garage. Hey, I need to use a yard. I have a kid, I have a newborn, or I have a toddler, or anything. Kids like to run. Let them have the free space. Let them, play in the yard if they can. You don't have to worry about like, oh, we got to walk and now we got to go all the way to maybe 3 blocks or 4 blocks to find a dog park or find a park for the children. And you don't have to
Right.
worry about that. You just put in the yard, and if you want to, take a walk. If you don't want to, then just stay in your backyard and hang out. You don't have to worry about like I'm not able to grill, I'm not able to do any work on my car, change the oil, check on the tires, or check on little things that I have to check on my vehicle either. And that could be a big burden, And then on top of that, sometimes the landlords, they don't clean the snow, they don't cut the grass right on time, and
Right.
that's something that you got to look into, because if you have plans of having family over or people over, then you got to worry about like, oh, I got to get you a permit for the permit parking, and I only have so many, or you got to pay for parking too. So
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I think just going back to that main point here, owning a home, owning your own townhome is crucial here. It's not only for your safety, but for your family's safety, for your future, for building a wealth, and no stress. I mean, if you're renting, you're constantly stressed out. If you're gonna be in that place, or if you have to look for something new, because you never know if the landlord is gonna extend the lease with you or decides to sell this place. If you own something, you always have that security of owning and being at the same location.
yeah, no, yeah, I think that's a good point. The major thing is that you have your family in your house. You don't have to worry about like if the landlord's gonna sell the house, or if he needs it for something else, or maybe later on the landlord decides to, hey, you know what, I'm gonna Airbnb my apartment and I get more money and I don't have to deal with people during a couple of days, and I pay way less money in utilities. I actually had a client that had that happened to him, that his landlord told him like, hey dude, I need you to move out, find a place, find somewhere else to go. He was using the garage. The landlord was really cool with him, and he was really cool with the tenant, and with the landlord, I'm sorry. And what happened, that the guy's like, hey, my friend's making money on Airbnb. I want to try it out. You have a nice apartment, and I want to get this apartment to be Airbnb. So this guy was like freaking out for a bit, and he called me. We sat down, we had the appointment. I told him what he could qualify for, and what happens that it took him like at least 4 months almost to find a home. And because he's very specific on what he likes and what he wanted to be at and where he wanted to be at too, because he wanted a house with a driveway and a garage. This guy has a couple cars, couple bikes, that he's using, and he wanted that same comfort. And fortunately, we were able to find the house for him. He moved in. He's super happy. He don't have to worry about like, oh my god, I gotta worry about my landlord saying that he's gonna Airbnb this place and I gotta get out. Now this guy I'm pretty sure he already has over $35,000 in equity in that house. And it's only been like over a year.
Great news. Yeah. The problem, like we said in the previous episodes, property values are going up. They're going up between 3 and 8% every year, and you're building that instant equity in your house or in your townhome, versus not building anything when you rent. So decision is yours, but I highly recommend to get pre-approved and purchase a property. Even if you don't have that 20% down, even if you don't have that 10% down, there are programs right now that will qualify you for the loan. There are programs that will get you a grant or lower interest rate, which is going to fit you in that payment that you pay for rent right now.
Yeah, and another thing that people have to, also like our clients have to know, is that we recommend for you guys to come down, sit down with us, talk with us, run the numbers with you guys, and that way you could see how the numbers work, because we're not here to give you a mortgage that you can't pay. We want you to feel comfortable with it, and we want to make sure that your income is correct, and then take advantage of it now. Like we're going into the fall market. There's buyers still in the area, but there's not as much as buyers as there is in the springtime and the summertime. So the rates are dropping right now. To take advantage of it. The programs that are out there for the down payment assistance or even some grants, that are available. Let's be ready for them. And let's get you into the house, for Halloween, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for New Year's, like have your party in there, and you don't have to worry about like the landlord complaining or anything like that. You're building equity in this house from now on,
Right. Yeah, just like we predicted, earlier, a few months ago, the rates are going to be dropping. There's no drastic changes, but they're slowly dropping. What are you looking at right now as far as the rate?
So right now they're 6.5 and 6.3, 6.4, depending. It all depends.
That's 30 years.
30 years.
And what about 15?
15? No, they have to be way lower than that.
Yeah.
Like on the high fives.
Yeah, 15. I've seen 15 in the past few days, between 5.5 and 5.7. So that's pretty good rate. And all depends, on your qualification or down payment. But yeah, they're much lower. They're about half point lower than they were a month ago, and about 1% lower than they were, 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
So that's great news.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's just great news. Is completely, because even a couple months ago we're at 7.3, 7.4, not to be in the mid sixes. Right now it's a better deal. But like I said, like nobody, like I told you about my client. He took 4 months to look for that home. In 4 months, the rates did go up a little bit. But then that time he was looking in the winter, and then in the kind of springtime, the rates were up already. And unfortunately, his rate that I had quoted him in the beginning, that didn't exist anymore. So he still got a fair rate. Didn't change that much money in the payment. But if the rates were a little bit less expensive, like we will definitely help him out. So that's someone that we could get. We could help out. And
yeah, I mean, you're gonna always call your client back, and you're gonna tell them once the rate's gonna come down that you can refi them. You can do refinancing once the rates are gonna drop at that level that it's worth it to refinance. Jose is gonna make a phone call, and I'm sure you're on top of every client that's gonna need it, because past 2-3 years, some of the clients you closed, they had drastic, higher rates, and they were probably in sevens or mid sevens, and now with the rates going down to 6 or 6.3, there's a chance to get somebody lower payment.
yeah. No, yeah, and like I said, the rates are dropping right now. They're in that, not everybody's gonna get the 6.2. Nobody's gonna get the 6.3 or 6.5. Like I said, every that's like in a perfect ideal position right now, right? 20% down, first time home buyer, and you have a excellent credit score, like 800 credit score. So every situation is different, and then that's where we could actually show you, like, hey, this is where the market's at, this is where the rates are at. We'll show you what we mean by par and everything like that. We'll show you exactly how the numbers work for us, so that we could get an idea too, get some knowledge yourself, because you need to know about this. Because it's like, back in the day when, cars used to be sold, and like, oh yeah, this car's going for $13,000, and there was only one car in the whole lot, and it's just to put the hook and get you in, and then
Right.
And then what happened, we will have that car, and then nobody will buy it because it had a dent in the door, or it had a damage in the back bumper, or it had stickers all over the place.
But I on mortgages, I see that it's not the same situation, that somebody's trying to get a hook to advertise a low rate to get somebody in the door. I think just like you said, it's all personalized. Every pre-approval is for you and whatever you qualify for. Just because your neighbor qualified for a certain rate or certain down payment assistance, it doesn't mean you're gonna qualify. And vice versa. You may qualify for something that your friend did not qualify. So the best thing is to personally get you pre-approved, checked, and see what kind of options you have as far as buying and purchasing a house or any other property, and then see if we can find something like that in the market.
Yeah. No, yeah, and there's this thing called a buy down as well, like where people could buy down the rate. But like I had a client that actually did switch me out because another bank told her, like, oh yeah, we could definitely do that rate, we got you. But then she paid almost like $8,000 for that rate to drop just by a little bit. It wasn't even a lot. And honestly, I was like, like you spend more money, and I showed you everything how it was, but talk to a professional, talk to me, talk to Peter. We're not here to tell you yes, and yes, and then then hit you at the back end with a high payment or a high down payment. We want to make sure that everything that's happening. We want to make sure that you are aware of how these programs work and how we could buy down the rate, how we could keep you with the same rate, and it makes sense. Like if the rate's a little bit higher for you right now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be your rate for life. You're not married to the rate. You marry the house, not the rate. The rate you could easily refinance with us, and it doesn't even cost you a lot of money to refinance. And then we have to make it make sense. It has to make sense for you to spend $1,500 or $2,000 at max, and for you to say like, okay, yes, I'm saving the amount of money within 6 months or something like that. Oh yeah, hand me my money back, and I'm building more equity now. Like, Jesus, that's a better. It's a way better deal to go with it, And it's unfortunate that there's other realtors, there's other mortgage companies that advertise, a lot of this and that. But we are here to show you how the numbers really do work and what to expect in the market that we have. Like you've been doing it for 9 years. Like you've seen things change within the 9 years.
Yeah, and I'm amazed by your location here in Downers Grove, your office. There's so many offices, so many loan officers here, and they have a lot of options to get you into a new property. So I would schedule appointments, whoever wants to get pre-approved with you, and you introduce them to your beautiful location here and see if you can help them. My clients, wherever I refer to you, they all had great experience and great reviews. One of them just left you a great review, I think, too, which is good. And I think many future ones will too.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the future of like helping out your clients, our clients. At the end of the day, it's just like we're a team. We're here to make sure that you're good, that your money that you have, we're gonna make sure that you keep most of it. I know that you wanna remodel right away, and that's what our clients are doing right now. They're going into the vision that they have for the house, and I'm happy they're doing it, and it's great, because Peter and I sat down, we talked with you, and we asked you like, hey, what's gonna be your 5-year term goal? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And what is the goal that you eventually wanna be at? Like when you're ready to retire, when you're ready to call it a day, maybe you want to move out of the state, out of Chicago. Maybe you want to move to warmer weather, down to Florida, to Texas, to California, or maybe
you want to come back to Illinois.
Or maybe you do. Yeah, maybe sometimes people do that.
I've had quite a few clients that went to Florida, and they're already back here, which is great. I think we live in a great state, and nearby a great city, and not everything is perfect, but I think comparing to other states, sometimes I think the grass is greener out there. Once you go and check it out, you realize it's not true, and you come back to Illinois.
Yeah, no, yeah. Here in Chicago, I moved out to Wisconsin, right? And you know that I moved out there for a few years. I was there for 4 years. Did I miss Chicago? Absolutely. And it was only like an hour and a half drive, right? But like having the convenience of, man, I want a good taco, I want to eat something really good. It's hard, and it's only an hour and a half away, and you will figure like, oh my God, there should be good tacos still in that area. And they don't. So I could just imagine Florida. I don't even I think they're barely having the tortillas sent over there, And it's like the difference of the meat of the culinary art that we have here in Chicago. It's like I think we have the best food. You know, whether you want to eat Mexican food, Chinese food, Italian, any dish, any region you want, you get it here in Chicago. You know, and it's we feel I think we don't take so much advantage of it, that we have such good restaurants around the area, and that brought me back to Chicago. To be honest with you, I was just like, man, I can't get a taco at 10 o'clock at night. Everything's closed. Like, come on, you know?
Yeah, me traveling to the other countries. I miss Chicago too. Miss that at any given time, any time of the day, you can go and get your food somewhere, or get your shopping done, or purchase anything, or take care of some business. It's like all other countries or even other states. You go, it's 9 to 5 or 9 to 4, and in the evening you don't have a lot of places, a lot of options to shop. Like here in Chicago area, until 9-10 p.m. you can still do your shopping everywhere. There's Woodman's 24 hours open, which is great too. And
oh yeah, I wish I had a Woodman's by me.
yeah, it's great. I go there, especially late night if I forgot to do some shopping during the day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're just not here to help out people that are here in Chicago. Like you said, there's clients that are in Florida. They want to come back to Chicago. They want to come back to the state of Illinois. They want to move somewhere around here, because it could happen, like your parents are here, they get older, like we got to make sure that they're good. Your kids, they may go to school here. We have great universities, great colleges around the Chicagoland area, and come back and be closer to your children. Or, your job moved out over here, because Chicago is actually growing rapidly, and and there's a lot of opportunities here in Chicago, and people may just want to come back. There was a boom in Houston and Texas and all that. My cousin had moved out there, and he said it was too hot. He couldn't deal with it. He's like, man, I miss my family. My uncle's getting a little bit older, but he'd rather spend more time with his family. Because that's the main thing that matters for him.
Yeah, Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Florida, which was multiple cities there, and now they're totally opposite. There's a lot of people moving out of there. It was just not enough jobs. Everything was cheap, now became so expensive. So people are realizing, let's go back to Illinois. Let's go back to our state where we have steady prices, steady jobs.
Yeah. Even though there's a lot of things going on here in Chicago, but it's home. It's home, and I love my city. Like I said, I had moved out to Wisconsin. It was nice, chill, very, 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 very slow. So a whole different type of life. But I'm used to it being here in the city. Like once like you said, we travel, we go to different countries. We go to different states, and you miss home. You miss being here in the Chicagoland area. We have a lot of options, and like I told you, my cousin that was living in Houston, he came back. He's with his parents right now, and he told me a couple of weeks ago. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm actually looking for my own place too. I want to start building my wealth. I want to start building equity. I want to start doing the same things that that my family's doing, you guys are doing. And we sat down and we had a good conversation with that, and we're good to go. Like he's gonna be looking at houses as soon as he's back to the state. He took a little vacation, and he's like, all right, man, after this it's all grind time. He's working a lot, and he's very devoted to his job and his family and his girl, and we're gonna make him a homeowner pretty soon.
Good, great, yeah. So just the key, sitting down, going over the expenses, going over your income, going over your plans, and just making a decision on the right property. That's very important in your life, because most of the properties you're gonna purchase, these are gonna be your biggest transactions of your life, and sitting with the right person that can guide you through it. That's crucial.
Yes, and with that said, like the checking your income, we make sure that your income is correct. Make sure that we get a verification of employment, that your workers say, yeah, he's employed, he gets overtime, he gets bonuses. All those things really do matter. They make you have a better purchasing power, to get more money to buy a house. And we want to make sure that you're able to do that. Make sure your credit cards are not maxed out. That's something that a lot of clients that I have as well, that their credit cards are maxed out, and they're like, oh, I didn't know. I try to pay the whole bill, when the bill is due. And it's such a simple thing that I know that is like, hey, look at your billing statement. When does it start? When does it end? Try to make the payment before the statement date ends, and that's the thing that they're going to report to the credit bureaus. So even though you have a low or a balance of like $20-$30, but you sent the money by the bill due date, not the statement end date, it shows like you stole a lot of money, and you don't,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like little simple things like that, like little tricks that we know, little tips that we could give you is going to make a big difference, because it also impacts your credit score a lot, especially if they show like, hey man, this is maxed out. He had a credit limit of $500. He's at 480. He's at 90-something% utilization. That's going to hurt your credit. And, that's why we like to check all those things with you and see your statements and see how things are, because, man, you could be purchasing a house, within the next month. And it's just like you've been able to buy it. But the thing is that you just didn't make the payment on the statement date. You made it on the billing date, and now your credit score dropped because the credit bureaus think that you're using all your credit, and you really don't.
And one of the things that really amazed me here, while I was talking to you and talking to your team here, you guys have a designated person that takes care of the credit. You guys have somebody called a credit repair person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's something unique that I haven't seen with any loan lender department, and I think you should talk about it a little bit more, because this is something that I heard only from you, and I was amazed when you mentioned it.
Yeah, so we work with a credit repair company, and we've been using him for a couple years already. It's been more than 5 years, I think, and I've been in the business for 3 years. And this gentleman and his team have helped me, get people that were not qualified a year ago, get them qualified a year later, and they make the plan. They show you how to do it. We also have another resource. We have what if simulators, So it could be simple. There's some people that just have to pay down a credit card, and the what if simulator told me, is it going to be worth it or not? And then I could talk to the credit advisor, be like, hey, what do you think about this file? They have a couple late. They missed the payment so many times, and this guy goes and he fights for you, and he fixes that for you. He fixes your credit. And a lot of companies that a lot of lenders don't use those resources, and we have a great, very tight partnership with this company and with the gentleman that we work with, because man, we're here to make dreams come true. We want to make sure that you're a homeowner, and we're gonna go above and beyond for you.
Exactly, going above and beyond. That's a good word. And you guys give your clients full service. So most of the lenders, when you come in and get pre-approved and try to get a mortgage, and you don't have enough credit, they will tell you, thank you, see you next year, or see you in a couple of years. You guys don't do that.
No.
You have a designated person that is going to guide this person, that client, to build up their credit, to build up their score. And sometimes it may take 2-3 months only, and they're qualified for the loan, right?
Yep. Yeah, they get qualified. Like I'm telling you, I have clients that have come in and they're like, hey, I only have $7,000, but they need a little bit more money, and maybe their credit score is not like it's at 620, 630, right? They could qualify to purchase the home. But when you want to get down payment assistance or any other grants that we have, and you want to take advantage of it, then they need at least a 640 or a 680 credit score, depending on where the DTI has to be at. And that's something that we talk about. So then what we do, we sit down at the table in the conference room, and I show them what they need to do. Like I'm saying, we do the what if simulator with the credit, or we go with the credit advisor. One of the two. So they tell us, okay, this is what you need to do in order to get your credit score boosted up. And then you, with those $7,000, you didn't end up spending all of it, because now you got the down payment assistance, or you got the grant that you didn't need all that money. And then you raised up your credit score, and in less than a month or 2 months, they're already purchasing a home. And that's awesome. That's fantastic to do.
Just to add, on top of it, right now we see that the market becomes more, buyer's market, and with the buyer's market, there's more options for the buyers. You can always try to negotiate either discount or credit from a seller, which is very common right now, and you can use that rebate towards your mortgage, towards your mortgage expenses, closing expenses, or to buy down the rate, get your rate even lower.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that's what we are here to do. That's where I could tell the client, like, hey, you've knocked down $10,000 off the price, or would you rather knock down $10,000 off the closing cost? Where do you want to be at? There's two different positions. You could either save, $15 a month in your payment, or you spend $10,000 less at closing, and you have those $10,000 and use it for repairing your home and building more equity for your home.
Yeah.
So there's different scenarios, and I show everything to my client, and we show everything to our clients, and be like, hey, you're better off getting a credit than to knocking down the price of the house, or you're better off knocking down the price of the house, and then this is how much your closing credits are going to be.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and this is how much money you're saving every month instead of the original payment that we had.
Yeah. Also very important it is to have good relationship between loan officer and real estate agent, because if they don't know each other, it's kind of sometimes it's kind of hard to get on the same page. But if they work together as a team, one can advise the other one, what kind of offer to put in or what kind of credit to negotiate, and it becomes an easier process for everyone.
Yep, and then we're here to make it an easy experience, because I know purchasing a home may be scary, so maybe a scary subject to bring up to a lot of people, but we have to talk about it. Everything that's hard, nobody does, and whoever does it and they're succeeding, there's a lot of people building the equity. If buying a house was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody will be on it, but it's not. It's not easy, but we try to make it as easy as we can. We try to make you have a good experience with us, with Peter, myself, and we're going to go, like I said, we're going to go above and beyond for you. We're going to make sure that you're content with the numbers. We're going to make sure you're content with the payment. We're going to make sure that you're content in the area that you're purchasing your home. Peter knows the areas very well. I know some of the areas very well. And, like, he's north side, I'm south side, he's suburbs, I'm more in the city. We know the whole area. We pretty much know where we're at. We're from here. This is where we drive every day. This is where we go drink our coffee every day. That these are little things that some people may not have, and they don't have the experience. You have 9 years of doing this, and I would choose you over a new guy that just started in the market.
Yeah, correct. Or some agent that doesn't feel like helping the clients anymore because he has been so long in a business, he thinks he knows everything. But finding the right team, and that goes from the loan officer, real estate agent, attorney, makes the transaction so much smoother. And I always tell my clients, let's take it step by step. You don't overwhelm your client with all the information, because buying a home is a very complicated process. It may take 2-3 months to find something, another month and a half to close. So it's part of your life that is going to be stressful for at least few months. But you know, taking step by step, you know, makes it a lot easier. And explaining each step, you know, what are we going to do next, it makes it less stressful and smoother, I think.
Yes. No, yes, it does. And the best thing we could do when we sit down and we have the consultation, we give our clients like a hint of what to expect for the future, you know. And I give them a brochure and I give them everything. Like, hey, these are the steps you have to take. These are the steps that are going to happen pretty soon, and just be ready for them. Kind of get prepared, and you know, make sure you don't spend all your money. Don't get overexcited and start looking at furniture and buying Amazon, like a lot of stuff. You know, we have to make sure that the keys are in your hand before you go and do all that. And we give you the what to do and what not to do. You know, we give you a brochure about that. Simple things, you know, like 10 steps on each one. Just kind of like hints, you know, tips, tricks, you know, that we know in the business. And you too, you know, you tell them, hey, this is where we're going. This is the areas you want to look at, you know, kind of be a little more concentrated on where you really want to be at. Don't make me go from, don't drive from Romanville all the way down to, you know, Gurney the next time, you know, like where do our clients really want to be? And that's pretty much our job. And that's what we want to get to, you know, pick their head and make sure that we got the right answers for them at the end of the day, you know, because hey, the whole area of Illinois is real pretty. The suburbs, some suburbs are really nice. Some suburbs are okay. Some parts of the city are really super nice. Some parts of the city, they're not that great, you know.
But there's a lot of traffic going on. Whichever way you're going, there's a lot of traffic going on. And just because it took you Sunday morning 25 minutes to get somewhere, it doesn't mean if you're going to get out of work at 5 o'clock, it's going to take you the same time. It may take you an hour in some areas instead of 25 minutes. So, when you come pre-approved, it's always good to already know, you know, the areas you're looking at, because just because you want to say a 45-minute drive to work would be fine, you know, that 45-minute may turn into 1 hour or hour and a half once the traffic hits. So you know, I realized showing homes for the past few months to a lot of clients that, you know, they're okay with driving a little bit longer routes to work, but once we go see houses and we drive 45 to an hour somewhere, they realize they don't want to do it anymore.
Well, trust me, I wouldn't like that. 30 minutes, I drive 30 minutes from my house to work, and I'm like, man, you know, sometimes I'm like,
you can do it one time or maybe a couple times, but if you do it 5-6 times a week, you know, morning and afternoon, then you don't want to do it.
No. Especially when you get out of work, the last thing. Well, maybe some people like the drive. You know, they want to blast their music up high and, you know, drink their coffee on the way to work and get pumped up and, you know, get the energy to be at work all day, or maybe just go, you know, anywhere they want to go. You know, I had back in high school, I had a teacher that lived in Indiana, and he loved taking the drive every day. And he loved taking the drive back because it's like, oh yeah, I just jump out, put my music on, and I just coast. This is my relaxed time for 1 hour, and when I get home, I'm good to go. You know,
he must have had no traffic.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people enjoying standing in the traffic. You know, 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you have a smooth ride. You know, wherever you go, and empty highway, that's totally different story. But if you're stuck in a traffic, or you know, people driving crazy in front of you, then you give up.